Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
At the moment, we have two blokes chatting, but we're now not going to chat to another bloke. We're going to chat to a woman who is a superstar, Robert Cameron.
She is indeed. It's going to be Ladies' Day, the second half of our show today, and the first guest we have on. We talk a lot about footy and the fact that footballers can't do their stuff, both men and women, but netball is a huge, huge participator sport in Australia, and there's a lot of girls who are deprived of their athletic talents, and one of those is a young lady who's probably now gone past Simone McInnes as Geelong's favourite netballer. Tegan Phillip, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How tough has it been for you girls? The netball season in Australia is really strong. It's highly skillful. It's great to watch, and you're all sitting at home as well. It must be a tough gig. Yeah,
it is tough. What we want to do and what we love to do, and what is basically our career is something that we can't do right now. So it's certainly a difficult time, and the clubs are doing the best they can to still, I suppose, keep us moving and keeping us fit while we are at home. So I'm actually about to hit up a gym session after this.
So are we.
I'm in my garage, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing a great job considering the circumstances, but obviously, extremely hard and sad that we can't be playing, but obviously completely understanding the reasons why, knowing that certainly not just our health, but everyone's health is more important.
Now, Tegan, I've got to be very careful when talking about women and age, but I reckon as an athlete I'm allowed to step into that territory because I think at this particular stage this is worse for you than most. Being at the age of 31 and an Australian diamond who's just sort of on the edge of that system, this year is probably pretty important for you to have kept your name in the box, particularly with a new coach coming into the Australian netball system. Are you sort of aware of the extra pressure that's applied?
I think all athletes will be aware of it, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in this kind of situation. But what is, and I will. If I get to go out on court, I'll just go out on court and play and do what I can. And obviously, there will be another coach nominated at some point, and they will choose who they want to choose. So yeah, what is, and I'll just do what I can.
Is that a situation that excites you a little bit? Do you feel maybe that the recently departed coach may have already had you pigeonholed a certain way, that perhaps a new coach might open up new opportunities for you?
I suppose all new coaches can provide new opportunities, and I probably don't think about who was in and who's going to be in, and are they going to pick me and are they not going to pick me, because it is out of my hands. So I know that my focus is going out on court when I can and playing the best that I can, and then leaving it up to the selectors on that choice. So yeah, I certainly don't try and think about it too much, knowing that part is actually not in my control.
Equally, hi Tegan, it's Neil. Equally, I guess younger players coming and on the cusp of international selection or representative selection, they're probably facing up to it as well. Certainly we saw some AFL players earlier in the season making their debut on the MCG and having nobody there, it just would be bizarre. But I would have thought there'd be some young players who over the last year or two or three have developed skills and experience and ability that would enable them to be coming into selection considerations, and now suddenly find themselves not able to do that simply because the world has stopped.
Mm.
Yeah, certainly. There are, those girls who are starting to perform well and play well and learning and putting their hand up saying, hey, pick me. I can play at this level too. So they are certainly, around, and which is awesome for netball, and everyone should be pushed by someone else. The situation is probably not like everyone thought it was at the start of the year. So they also need to learn how to navigate this and still train hard in this time of the year, and when they do get out, just show them why they should be chosen.
Because I think one of the things that sits in my mind is if you do a knee or you do something like that, nobody else around you is in the same boat. And I've spoken to a couple of footballers who have done ACLs and stuff, and they're the ones that turn up at 6 o'clock in the morning, do their rehab and go home before the rest of the team turns up. I guess the difference this time is everyone's in the same boat. So every aspiring young player is in the same boat. Every player who's in the second half of their career is in the same boat. I guess that helps a bit.
Yeah, no doubt it is. No one is more disadvantaged than the other, and the clubs have been talking that they want to make sure it's an even playing field for all players in each state, no matter maybe what the restrictions might be or whether some are lifted and some are not. So it is the same for everyone. No one is more disadvantaged or advantaged than the other, and it's just the situation that we are now in.
Tegan, you're one of many Geelong region players who've pushed into major leagues around Melbourne and national stuff. Do you still keep in touch with that little Geelong group and set yourselves aside from the rest?
Just more or less, if we see each other, we have a nice little chat, and there's always that little connection or that little spark that you guys have, knowing that we are, the Geelong crew from down here. So, that connection's definitely still there.
Have we got some names that you probably haven't seen them in action lately, but were there some young girls who are coming into the system that caught your eye and perhaps think could get into the Vixens team in the next year or two?
There's some of our training partners. Ali Smith is actually from...
Yeah, that was the name I was going to bring up. I'm glad you did first, yeah.
No, he wasn't. He didn't have any idea. He just made that up.
No, I've got a connection with Ali Smith. She's a sort of a relative.
So she's doing an extremely good job at the moment as one of our training partners, is no doubt wanting to improve and continue to learn and just pushing what she can do each year and would love to see her in the Vixens in the next few years, and I have no doubt that she can actually get there as well. So, yeah, she's doing a great job.
So suppose I was a 10-year-old talented netballer, and obviously with a voice like mine, that's hard to believe, but suppose I was a 10-year-old netballer, what is the pathway to get to being a Vixens player, for example? So I'm living in Anglesey and I'm playing netball for the Anglesey side. How do I work my way through that process? Is there a talent pathway? Is there a formal process?
Yeah, there's a few ways that you can actually get to it. I probably was slightly unusual and didn't follow what pathway has been put in place by Netball Victoria. So any opportunity you get, you try and get into the netball academies and the representative teams, and then you put yourself in positions where there are other selectors around from the national champ days and things like that, and then hopefully you get, I suppose, TRD'd and given opportunities to trial for the Victorian under-17s, under-19s and under-21s team. So they have put this pathway in place, but you certainly don't have to follow that pathway to reach the top, and I didn't actually make my first state team until I was 20. So I was not in the academies, in a couple of rep teams, but not all of them. So I was just playing netball because I loved it, and it was something that kept me fit and healthy, and I could do it with my friends. And then I was just playing for my school, and a lady was there, and I didn't even know, from Netball Victoria, and she actually asked me to trial for the state teams that year. So for me, it definitely came out of the blue, and it wasn't, I wasn't going down the Netball Victoria pathway, and trialled for the Victorian teams for a couple of years, and then was finally selected my first year in the Victorian under-21s team. So that's how I got there. So there is a pathway, but if you're not following along that, it doesn't mean that you won't make it either.
Yeah, this region's very well covered with Furies and Cougars getting into that system, and the net of talent identification is wide, and I don't think they miss anyone. I don't think like the football and cricket worlds, the days of going to the right school is the right pathway. I don't think that works anymore. They grab anyone from anywhere as long as they show talent and provide opportunities, and I think it's a great system. Netball's got to work it really well.
Yeah, that's right.
And is there a draft? I mean, how does the Vixens, for example, how do they pick their players?
No draft. So There's the Victorian Netball League, which is played on a Wednesday night usually. So there's always kind of coaches watching when you're not ready, when you're not prepared. They'll be there. That's kind of how they roll. And then there's the Australian Netball League, which is the league directly under us. And so we have the Victorian Fury team. So they're kind of the avenues where players can get selected from. It's not an official selection, so coaches will just be watching, and then they'll approach that individual saying, we would like to offer you a contract. So you would have no idea, really. You can have no idea that you potentially are being looked at for a position in the Suncorp Super Netball League.
When we when we've had chatted in the past, Sherelle McMahon is a name that pops up. You, like most fans of the game, were in awe of her as a player, and to get to play with her must have been quite extraordinary. But you're now at that age where you've got to look at transition. Are you seeing yourself playing a similar role to Sherelle and being a role model mentor for younger players over the next few years?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed kind of working with the younger girls and helping them to improve and just answer any questions that they might have. So I'm happy to put my hand up for that, and the girls know that they can contact me if they need to, just to ask questions and have chats. And then when we're at training, like if I can offer them some advice or some feedback that's not contradictory with what the coaches are saying, or those who might not getting any direct feedback at that time, then I'm more than happy to do that for them, and they're very willing to receive that as well, which is really encouraging for me.
Another regular member of our show is your good friend Shannon Leach. Do you reckon she can hang on long enough for you two maybe play a bit together?
You know what? Each year she just keeps going back and going back.
She's amazing, isn't she?
So she is amazing. We always love going and watching her when we can. So you never know. It could be a possibility.
She might play with her granddaughter by the sound of things at some point.
No, she's not quite that old. There is a little bit of a gap, but she's still playing great netball. Shannon, Team of the Year in Geelong and District last year. And I can't see it finishing all that soon. So, it may work out that. But I imagine at 31, there's still 4 or 5 years at least of you at the top level. So I don't think we'll see you playing locally in the short term. Thank you so much for your time again, Tegan. We really appreciate it. Good luck with your sad hiatus working on your own in the garage gym. A tough gig, but there's so many other professional sports people doing it. Just on the professional side, how hard has that also been? Because no doubt, like everyone, you've had to absorb a little loss to the pay.
Yeah, it has been quite difficult, and I think the effect has varied across, I suppose, all the players and how much you're earning, and people have rented houses according to what they have been earning. So there's those difficulties there that some of them have had to actually move because they can't stay there any longer. So that's certainly a hard impact. And I suppose each player is working through that, and netball's been great in terms of the support they're offering, and certainly the Melbourne Vixens are doing a great job in trying to help support us players in different ways, knowing that we have taken this, pay reduction. But I suppose on the player side of things, we understand that part of the, if we want the sport to keep running and to keep being able to play, we do need to take the cut, because they just don't have the finances coming in now that we won't be playing anytime soon. So, yeah, it's certainly been difficult and affected each player differently, but knowing that's just something that we've had to do at this particular time with the circumstances that we're all in.
Excellent work. We hope to see you back in a green and gold outfit with the diamonds at some stage. Tegan, we know you're good enough for it. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
That's it.
And good luck in the future. And thanks again for your time this morning.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good girl.
Thanks, Tegan.
Tegan Phillips, she is a superstar, and ironically, probably very prominent with local sport. She shares the hometown of young Paddy Dangerfield, and the two of them have really put Anglesea on the map for producing young talent. They are at the forefront of representing the region, and they do it well. So well done to Anglesea. There's something in the water down there.